Hello, seekers, confessors, wizards, sorceresses, Mord Sith, soldiers, and survivors of the Great War. And welcome to the Sword of Truth podcast, the chapter-by-chapter reread of the Sword of Truth series with a well-deserved victory craft mead on the side.
Huzzah!
Ooh, huzzah!
I'm Nate, and I'm here with my two time-traveling companions, Jade and Aaron.
Hello.
Hi.
This is my celebration voice.
It's time to party now. You don't get timid now.
This is
Hi.
my party voice.
Kick that door down double-fisted and say, let's go!
Oh, you want me to stone cold it up in here?
Yeah, hell yeah. Crush some beers on your head.
Break some glass, crush some beers.
I don't know if Maggie would approve.
Probably
of that,
not.
Actually.
Probably not.
I mean, look, statistically, she approves of exactly 0 things that I do. So, I mean, why worry about it now?
So make it worse.
Yeah.
Well, today, instead of making it worse, we're going to be going back and taking a look at the novella Dead of Bones as a whole. We finished it. We got through it. I mean, I don't want to be like, that was such a hard accomplishment because it's such, so tiny. So very, very little.
Hey. Sometimes sometimes smaller things can have big impacts, okay?
I'm sure they do. No, I just mean throughout the process
fast
of
enough, right?
recording a book, this is the shortest thing
Motion
we've
of
ever
motion.
done. So from beginning to end, it's
Yeah.
like, no, there's supposed to be like a year and a half in between these two episodes, but we're already there to the end.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talk about Harry Potter. Our most recent Harry Potter run through on book 3 was, there's 22 chapters, and we're like, that's so small. This didn't have a single chapter. 0 chapters.
Not even one.
Not even one. Or maybe one chapter.
We've discussed there are
Technically.
7 segments
And
and made it more complicated as we went.
It was one of the things we talked about when we were doing Harry Potter was like, we know you guys were as well, you people at home. But us here, we would discuss like, we kind of tried to do both Harry Potter and Dead of Bones at the same time. And we just realized it wasn't going to be possible because it was like, you're only going to get like 60% as good on both instead of 100% good and the other one's slightly delayed. But like, it feels weird that it was like, yeah, let's get back into it. We're already done. And granted, on to the next book soon. But, we already got another book in.
Yeah, for everybody listening, we are going to be doing Soul of the Fire next.
Soft.
We're not going to take another break and do a Harry Potter and be gone for 9 months, I promise. Well, she got it, didn't she?
Soft.
She beat me to it. I didn't even think about it. But yeah, so Jade is going to be showrunner on that. She's already
congrats
been
on
working
the
on
promotion.
notes and stuff.
Showrunner.
No.
She is also CEO. Let me be very clear.
You know what?
Hey, put it on the resume. You never know. Yeah, I'm excited to get into the next book. I'm already looking forward to it because I want to get back to, Richard and Kaelin and Kara, and as we all know, Dark and Rawl. But for now, I think it's important to take some time, reflect,
Yeah.
get a little zen about it.
I am curious what you thought of this book.
I like it. I like it. I liked it. I liked it while I
That
was
was
reading
so fast.
it.
I think is there a butt coming?
No, it was...
Also, no descriptors. I liked it.
Well, so
I liked it.
I recently went back and re-listened to the front cover episode where I kind of gave some, not necessarily like predictions, but like things I was looking forward to. And one of them was, I want to know more about Zed's decision making. And by getting this look into Zed's history, I've got that. I know, like, we've delved deeper into Zed as a character. I know his motivations a little bit better. It makes me want to go back and reread the first 4 books now, too. Like anything, hindsight's always 20/20. Now I know more. What if I would have known this back then? Well, with books, you can do that, which is great.
You can read a book again.
Yeah.
The problem comes
Only
in
twice, though.
when
Only
you have
twice.
so many further books to read,
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
I can't restart now because I got to get to the end, and then I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
restart.
It's like when a friend recommends a cool podcast and you're like, I already have 5. I'm like, I have 5
I just can't
and
do it.
I'm there's 3 other ones I haven't even started yet.
But
I
if it's
can't get to yours.
This one, I could probably squeeze
But yeah,
it in.
if it's this
Of course,
one,
of
this
course.
one's I think
This is
worth
one of the
it.
5.
This. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And other people should make time for this as well. It's the other podcast.
Yeah.
Those other podcasts.
If this is your
Can go
first time
fuck
listening to this
themselves.
one, then obviously you should shuffle some things around and figure it out, right? Because this will be worth it.
I think this book was worth it. I'm
Hell yeah.
I feel like the timing of it is great. I feel like it was a nice little break, and I think we even had that in the quote from Terry that we did at the beginning, where it was like he wanted to go back and take a little bit of time away from Richard and Kaylin and like go into the world a little bit more.
Right.
And
Temple of the Winds kind of is I don't want to say the finish of the setup, because as always with a good kind book, there's more. I think it was important to him to make some clarifying things on Zed, just so you know how his brain works. So I think it's really cool that that's what you were curious about, because that's what it was kind of built to do.
Jade, I think you said too at the beginning that it was like, what did we know about kind of this time frame ish? Because it was like, hey, we know Zed is in these places while we're reading the other books. We know, what happens with Richard's mom. We know what happens with the boundaries, but it's only those like finite events. We don't know the setup. We don't know the fallout. We don't know how did Richard come about? We have a little bit more insight into that now.
Jade actually brought this up to me, I think, a few days ago, about how there is a period of time after this book and before the events of the next books kick off where we don't really know what Zed's been up to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're only kind of left to assume. And I believe that may be a side quest in and of itself, because Jade has she's got a lot of really good ideas about what Zed might have been up to.
I just have thoughts. Just on how Richard came about.
Oh,
in general.
Okay.
And then we could, I think that can even lead into how he behaved with Richard and his mom once they are in Westland, and then moving forward. So I think that there's a lot there we could talk about.
That's a good point.
Fully believe that there could be a Dead of Bones, like part 2.
Oh, yeah.
Like, or maybe it's not the Dead of Bones, obviously a different name, but in that next, what did we figure, 20 to 30 years? There's just like a gap. We know what the timeline is, right? We know what's supposed to happen in that time, but it is largely a mystery.
The winds of life or something, like how Zed goes from being the wind of death to
that'd be a great
to
title.
just being who he is when we meet him.
Prequel.
Yeah.
Zed growing up.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a pre-sequel. I thought you were going to say it was like Zed raising Richard. From right before Richard's born, and then like
from the pregnancy of
couple of
Richard
one-shots
up
type
through the
thing.
time that we meet him, just kind of
his mom
explaining-
goes to be with George, and he assumes the role of a stranger that they don't know that well. Yeah.
But he's still a wizard.
Oh man, that would be so good.
Hiding as a wit, like he's pretending not to be one.
But either way, Winds of Life is a great title for like a separate story about Zed. That's very good. Look, sometimes you need a rough draft and then you need another and another. Sometimes you go right to final draft. But yeah, I think that's my impression. And to kind of put it back on you, now that you guys have.
I'm so sorry.
The song that came into my head was.
I'm sorry.
Never mind. What were you gonna say?
I'm gonna need an explanation of what just happened here. But you guys have read everything before. But was there anything different on this reread? Because like we've talked about, maybe less so on the reread, but more of the deep dive that this podcast is. Like, like you said, normally you might read 10 chapters in a day. Maybe not quite that much. But like you don't read one and then talk about it for an hour.
Oh, right.
So like has it changed? Has anything changed for you guys on like, oh, I didn't even notice this before, or oh, I didn't, I never thought about it this way, perhaps, or something.
Yeah, Zed's trickery. That was huge. I didn't realize even on my read-throughs for the notes for this show, I didn't realize how big of a trick Zed was playing until Jade pointed it out to me on that episode. That's when I realized that Mariska wasn't fucking real. His daughter wasn't real. He had done this whole fucking thing. And I was just like, I had this all wrong. I had a totally different angle of attack. And then when Jade said that, I go, well, these notes are fucking useless now because that's obviously what happened. I was tricked. And I've read this book. I'm not really proud to share this, but I've read this book probably 8 times.
Okay.
In the process of getting ready for this.
Oh, yeah.
That's between reading and listening, and then one for the notes, or a couple for the notes. I never picked up on that again until you pointed it out while we were recording. And I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I got tricked by the trickster. Fuck me.
Yeah, a lot of people have.
Because you read through it so fast and you're like, that's crazy. And you try to go back and flip through the other books and put everything together, but you don't really think about all of the other intertwining things that are affected by it until you start breaking it down in this way. You might start to connect little things and you're like, okay, this specific thing goes back to that other thing. But, and I being vaguely vague.
It's kind of a vaggy vag that you vag about when you're not sure what's going on. One of those vags.
Because some of the things because some of it goes into the further books, especially the next book in general. So some of the things that I'm thinking about, I'm like, okay, but how does that work with what we know about the timeline of events as things are laid out? Like, the Wizard's Keep was full of people at one point. Now it's not. Now it's completely empty. Those type of things. And I'm like, okay, these tie into also the next book specifically. And I can't talk about some of that. But everything starts to unravel and then ravel. There should be a cork board around this whole studio with lots of red strings.
I mean, we could very well pull that off. We could put it on the front wall here, and then everything from prequels is behind you, and then everything from further on that we can't put a descriptor to is behind me. And then Aaron can just see this whole layout while we record.
In the dead center of all three, it's just who is Pepe Sylvia?
What?
See, the problem is that the room would end up looking like one of those scenes from Dexter where he's doing the blood spatter analysis, because they would like cross the room and we wouldn't be able to like sit.
Yeah. It would be the room of a crazy person. They'd come in and be like, they record in here? Why the fuck would they do that?
Sold.
The sound is absorbed very well by the yarn, though.
Don't get me wrong. I'm
that's
in.
a good point.
Holy shit.
Actually, that might function just
I
fine.
am going to go on Amazon and buy just reels and reels of yarn. And they're like, this guy has just lost his fucking rocker.
What's the yarn market like nowadays? No, it's interesting you say that, because that is something that now that I am, I'm 5 books in, I'm familiar with Terry's, I don't know if you'd say writing style or prose style, but the storytelling that he has, like, nothing in here was said by mistake for the most part. So it's like there's most likely going to be stuff that's going to happen soon in the next couple books. It's going to be like, oh, that's from Dead of Bones. Like, I remember that. He set that up. Like, that's not even chronologically huge gap, but book-wise, that was just one book ago. He set it up there.
Yeah. And because there's so many times, like, this is where Richard comes from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if Dead of Bones hadn't happened, nothing else is going to happen. Or, I mean, would have gone drastically different, may not have had a seeker even, but it's in those in-between moments that you don't get to see. And then Dead of Bones is one of those, it's a clear piece where it is a jumping off point. But I liked how you said nothing in here was put in there for like fluff. It is all very meaningful and ties in later. It's so fucking cool.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like Willy Wonka in a way. You got to go back to go forward. Where's my fucking flute?
Nate, if Oompa Loompas start coming out, I'm going to freak out. I don't know if it's a good or a bad freak out, but I'm going to freak out.
Listen.
Hey, guys. Hey, never mind. He's not into it. I'm sorry. You'll still get paid. Okay, sorry about that.
So are Oompa Loompas native to Aidendrill? Is that what we've just established?
No, they're fucking not.
Is that what Willy Wonka captured them from? Was from Aidendrill?
No, I think my husband might have hired some people off the road, and we're gonna have some words later.
Yeah, I'm sure you had to pay him up front. That's lost coinage, my guy.
I did not. So I'm not a dick. They showed up for work. They'll get paid.
Just earlier, the reason that I broke, when you said you were going to put it on him, In my brain, all I saw was like a little cartoon Aaron like twerking at Nate. And that's what broke me. I just wanted to share that with the group.
I don't think I've ever made a large request of our listeners before. However, if someone is listening can make a cartoon Aaron that's twerking on Nate, please, for the love of God, send that to us.
I'm going to put it on you.
Please. I'm glad we circled back around to that.
As long as the cartoon has the face I'm making right now, I'm fully on board.
A joyous one?
That's a big smile, my guy.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt because you were asking a very poignant question, but I was like, nah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we got this. I am upset that one of my prophecies did not come true as much as I had hoped it would. Because I did in I don't know if it was the back cover or the live episode from the previous book. Nate, actually, what's shitty about it is that, Nate, you had to remind me I made this prophecy. I didn't even remember.
Because when you said it, I was like, holy fuck, he's kind of right. But I cannot tell you that you're right. So
I had prophesized that Dark and Rawl would be in the next book, and technically it was like a cameo. He was not directly in the book.
Right,
but
he was never actually named, but he was there.
An important event was referenced that we know Dark and Rawl was present at. And as we all know, that means I'm technically correct, which is the best version of correct.
That's right. It's the best kind. But yeah, so Dark and Rawl is in Dead of Bones. This is where he gets the fireball. So he's little now. And then in that period we're talking about where Zed kind of disappears into the Midlands, or like we know kind of what he's up to. He's probably still first wizard doing his thing. But like Dark and Rawl is growing up and plotting revenge and such. And that all ties into previous books and future books.
Mm-hmm.
Dark and Rawl, it's no wonder he becomes such a sadistic villain because his dad was a terrible fucking person. He watched his dad be a terrible person. And then, as a small child, stood there while his dad exploded in flames and was severely burned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's nightmare villain fuel.
And then became...
That's what that's made of.
And then became the king, and people just, doting on him hand and foot.
Because you poor bastard, your dad was fireballed to death in front of you.
Yeah.
And as we all know, fireball is an area of effect spell.
And it wasn't even like a regular-ass fireball. It was a huge sphere of molten death.
Yeah.
So you were right. He wasn't named, but you were right. You nailed it, my guy.
I will technically take it.
I will say, real quick, there's no bad guy side of view in this novel.
That's
novella.
true. Yeah, it's very clearly just all from Abby.
Yeah, there's no cutover. I mean, now we know Mariska, right? But we didn't know that was a bad guy when we were seeing Mariska. So it was kind of weird. There's no bad guy teaser of he's going to do the terrible thing, and then main character doesn't know that's going to happen yet. And so it builds suspense, but this book happens so fast. I don't know that it was fully needed.
I think that's the thing. Yeah, we didn't see Darker, but we also didn't flip to Mariska's point of view ever.
Right.
Either, so we're going to hit on her a little bit more later.
We are going to talk about that.
We didn't hear a whole lot on the motivations for Mariska at all, which is strange. But it may not have been needed. But I mean, I could do with a little paragraph.
So you saying maybe before we move into Mariska's motivations, we should make some time for a mead minute? And we'll be back right after this.
And we are back for the conclusion of the back cover of Debt of Bones.
Dub.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to do that much. I do appreciate everyone not screaming it into the microphone this time. That was...
Stop.
Don't... God damn it. I take it back. That's worse. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Soft.
So, Jade, I kind of want you to lead the way in this part, because most of these, I'm not going to lie, are Jade's idea. I didn't want to read them myself, and then people think, fuck, that's a really good idea, Nate, because I didn't come up with these. Jade did.
Well, I just was confused as to Mariska's role in the plan, the plot. how this all came about from their side of it, which kind of leads into we never got anybody's view from the villain's side of it.
Yeah,
right?
there was no plot from the bad guy's point. I mean, there was the
Right.
whole war, and obviously they're targeting Zed's family because of who he is. But outside of that, we didn't get any specifics.
And when she sees her in the town, she's just an old lady. She just acts like an old lady the whole time.
Just happens to come across her waiting in line
Right.
with a whole bunch of other people. It was a rando.
And she doesn't recognize her, but once she sees her in her bed with a knife, she's like, oh, yeah, you're connected to the stuff at home. You have Jana. Okay, cool. But apparently, according to the wiki, she's a sorceress.
According to the wiki, Mariska is a sorceress employed by Panis Rahl. But that's all it says. And I think we kind of know that, right? But here, the thing about that is she never does any magic
Yeah.
in the book. So we never get confirmation in the book that she is actually holding any magic because she doesn't do it.
Yeah, why or how is she a sorceress? You know,
I thought she was a Mord Sith.
Mariska?
Yeah, I thought it said like when she was going through camp, she saw Mariska in red leather.
no, Mariska was sleeping in a chair outside the tent.
Yeah, I thought
No.
I thought it mentioned she was in red leather.
No.
Oh, well, I had made that up then. I just pegged Mariska as a Mord Sith because we don't see her do any magic.
She's an old toothless lady.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if that. That's a good point. Yeah, that's Mord Sith aren't old toothless. They are ladies.
They don't want to die as old toothless ladies in their beds.
Yeah.
That's like their whole thing.
Okay.
It could be maybe assumed that she used magic to get to Aidendrill or follow Abby
Oh,
somehow.
True. That's true.
But they
the
came
necklace. Maybe she could track the necklace
They
'cause
came-
it's magic.
from they came from the same
Or
place.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
why would she need to? She could have just like fucking followed her. So all of that makes me a little confused,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's just this old woman who is employed to track this lady and threaten her, apparently.
Well, that's the thing. I was just reading it again, and it does not say that she's employed by Panis Rahl. It does say a sorceress who fights on the side of Dahara, right? So she may just be a rogue fucking lady.
Then that begs the question. They go in, they take this Penderson Reach, right? And
Mhm.
they're just trying to overtake it, and they're standing there at a bottleneck, right? So we know that
Right.
there's potential for a bigger war to happen. She escaped, so nobody saw her leave. So
Right.
it can be implied that
They
she found this
tortured
escaped person.
information out of the village, and she learned that there was supposed to be a girl named Abby, and there was no Abby in the prisoners. So it's like, hey, we have an escapee. We have to go track her down.
But that's what I'm
Maybe
saying.
that
That's what I'm
could
saying.
be what happened.
And I know she's the daughter of the sorceress.
Yeah.
So
Person
maybe
of note.
she's person of note. But yeah,
Yeah.
why? And the goal is to get Zed,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But how and why do they know all like that? Abby has a debt of bones to Zed, and that she's going to be in Aidendrill. There's just missing
Yeah. Oh
plot
yeah.
pieces here that are confusing to me. And if
Yeah.
she is a sorceress, why don't we see more evidence of that?
It might be Inglorious Bastards. Jana gets away. Abby disappears. They know she's missing from the family or whatever. And so they send this random sorceress out into
to
the
follow.
wilds. And if she comes across anybody just traveling that way in general, there's a good chance they came from right here. So they knew who they were following. She was probably just running to safety is their assumption. But the problem is they don't know that she's going to go to the first wizard and have any fucking access.
Yeah.
You know, they might just go to the guards who will be like, aren't you from that other place who didn't agree to be in this union of countries? Oh, there's nothing we can do for you. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
And be turned away and then
Yeah.
probably murdered by said sorceress.
Yeah, it's such a weird specific thing that Abby knew but didn't even know fully about. How in the fuck would this lady know that she's gonna have that? There's something missing.
Because what are the odds that all this would happen? If we're missing something, then the chances could be greater. But if we're not, then this is just down to chance. Does that make it better or worse that maybe the crux of this is that it could have not happened this way? And the fact that it did is so extraordinary that it warrants a book.
I think something you said earlier would explain Jade's confusion here, and it's that we don't get a bad guy perspective. If we would have gotten a bad guy chapter segment, famously no chapters.
Thank you.
That's where you would fill the plot point of like Panis meeting with Spy Network saying, I have tracked her. You let her escape the village. She has a magical necklace. That's how we're tracking her. You spread out. We don't know where she's going. We just know she left. It just happened to be that Mariska was the one that found her.
Right.
I have something that could fill the plot point, but again, we're not told it. If Mariska is a witch woman, this fills the plot hole a little bit because witch women know flows of time. They know weird pieces of information.
Bone magic.
She knew
They
what was
can
going to
like
happen ahead of
teleport
time.
and do
then.
weird. They can do weird shit.
Oh,
So if
fuck.
she is a witch woman in the employ of Panis or working with the Daharans.
Just in general, she's on the Daharan side,
Then-
so it would behoove her to help the Daharan side.
Yeah, then maybe she sees something about the bone. She sees something in the timeline of Abby talking to Zedekis with the bone.
So she knew
Yeah.
there
And
would
then-
be a connection, possibly.
Yeah.
and she can like teleport there. That would maybe fix
Okay.
all of this. The problem
that.
is
Oh, no.
we don't get told she's a motherfucking
Yeah.
witch woman or
Right.
a piece, like just a second from her perspective. Anything like that would make this easier. And that just like, I just figured that out in my own brain just now. But I do think that could be a plausible answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Maybe.
think so. I just wanted to point out that I got that off of literally the Sword of Truth wiki. Just says she's a sorceress, but again, that's why we're having this conversation. I just wanted to point that out. But there's really no
Well,
verification for that.
and because I was always confused why an old woman who presumably has no powers, just has a knife,
Right. Why
is
would
intricate.
they be employed by Panis Rahl to do this crazy thing?
Right.
But if she was a sorceress
Yeah.
or a witch woman who was capable of some shit,
Yeah.
well, that does make more sense.
And we don't see any shit, but maybe that's just because her main goal was just knowing the pieces of the plot.
I do think this should have been a little bit longer to get a villain's perspective, not necessarily to like set up the villain, but to explain plot points. Because to me, if I'm going into a prequel or, just something, a flashback, that should almost be like a self-contained story that leads into the future stuff we already know or we'll find out soon. Like, I don't think the prequel should be like have these types of questions. The prequel should be like, here's this tiny little thing that you could read it on its own and it's fine, but it provides reference to something else. Whereas this, I think 15 more pages. Look, I'm not an author. I know that's a big ask. Like, I'm not saying, oh, it's only 15. But comparatively to the other books Terry writes, 15 pages isn't a lot.
That's
And
true.
I think that's one where naming Mariska as a witch woman, like you said, that probably would have been enough in and of itself to be like, okay, now I feel comfortable making these leaps that she's a witch woman who sided with Panis, who agreed that after they get rid of magic, she's going to be able to keep some for her or something, or whatever.
Like a hedge maid or something. I get my section of the woods and you leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm comfortable making that leap now. But
Yeah.
because we now find out she's a sorceress, it's like that. Okay, but how does she know? There is no communication
How
between
did
her
she
and
go
Panis.
from sleeping in the fucking enemy camp to being in the house with Janna where she was deaded?
Yeah.
Or-
unalived.
Why she doesn't use any of her magic.
Yeah.
She might have been the one that even captured Janna. Is that what we're assuming? Or is this like soldiers came in and did the destruction and she was just in there?
That's what it seemed to me because what's-her-fuck was hanging out like in the basement or some shit and then ran away once everybody was taken away.
Maybe even just one of the camp followers that put two and two together before anybody else and was like, okay, we're going to go hit the desert in between these two lands and anybody I see out there came from here. So that's my target.
It's if she's a sorceress, why isn't there magic usage to make that easier that we see anything?
Yeah.
It's too big of a leap for my comfort to just have that be blank.
I kind of agree with you. I was thinking to myself, if it was 7 segments, we could have used 2 that were bad guy view. If it's longer and we go 9 segments, I'd say 3. Couple chapters of you seeing what your good guys are doing, and then not a chapter, segment of the bad guy preparing something that your people don't know about just to build more tension.
And I think it would be one thing if we got more of Zed's point of view, then we'd be like, okay, the explanation is that Terry wanted to stay with Zed, but we are with Abby, and we don't get any conversations between the two of them on their walk, so we don't get any like more into Zed during that time. So take out some of Abby, put in some Mariska. Not even a lot.
Yeah, no, I fully agree.
I did like the length of this. It was nice. There's definitely an intimidating feel. But when you go to 1 and then you just see how much is left and you're like, I know chapters are, anywhere between 15 and 30 pages, maybe. This is a lot.
Start to realize how thin those pages are. You're like, oh, wow.
So when you get Dead of Bones and it's like, that could fit in my pocket.
It's nice.
Like, that's
it was
nice.
You get to dip a toe into the world, but you don't have to stay for a year and a half at a time.
Yeah, I like that. But it's like, hey, if we're going to do this, I think, again, not an author. I've not published a single thing in my fucking life. But maybe could have been more efficient usage of the flashback.
I'm going to say my jeans don't have big enough pockets, but I found a really cool belt here in town that has pouches on it, and it fits in there.
Nice.
All right, well, that is going to do it for us on Dead of Bones. We have closed that cover.
Front cover to back cover. We did it. The whole thing.
Yeah. No need to fear. We're going to be back with Soul of the Fire next. We're not doing a Harry Potter thing in between, so all of you sort of truth heads, that's bad. Forget I said that. We'll be getting a full book, full dose coming next. It's in the future, though, so I'm not quite sure how we're going to pull that off. The boundaries are up now, so we're kind of fucked as to how to get back.
I think that the boundary cutoff are where the portal was. I mean, it wasn't there after we came out. I just thought we had to give it time and it would show back up.
We'll figure it out. You know what? Once you say it on a podcast, it has to happen. I'm a bit of a prophet that way.
Oh.
Nate, you have like a 3% success rate on these things.
But that's a success rate.
That's not 0.
Yeah.
I guess, but I'm telling you, there's a chance.
There is a chance. I'm getting real Lloyd Christmas vibes over here.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Well, I would like to thank everybody for listening. If you wanted to let us know what you thought of this episode, you can write in your journey books to podcastatt@gmail.com. Jade is trying to write on a matchbook with a match. If you flip it around, it'll do something cool.
I feel like that was pretty good.
That was good. If you wanted to support this show, you can go to patreon.com/podcastatt and join a tier of any amount. And as Jade loves to say, all the tiers on Patreon are happy tiers.
All of them, every single one.
We've got a lot of cool stuff there for you, including ad-free episodes, live, well, when you hear them after you sign up, they'll be live, but there are recorded live episodes from the past in the future on our Patreon, just so it's extremely clear. And a bunch of other things, including things from our other podcast, The Wandcast, which is focused on Harry Potter. When you sign up because of this show, you get both sets of things.
That's a good point. I don't know if we've ever said that on this. You do get access to both. They're not separate.
You get extra stuff that might interest you, and then, hey, you've got a whole nother podcast to listen to.
So you're welcome.
That you have to listen to. That is correct. You have to.
If that's not your style, you can find us on any of our social medias. Go ahead, subscribe there. Thank you. Thank you very much. Meat is very good.
It really is.
But again, I would just like to thank you all for listening very, very much. It has been a joy and a privilege to do this book again with you guys. Never a bad time. And I'm really looking forward to Soul of the Fire. We are going to have a fucking riot with that book.
Woohoo!
Sound the chimes. It'll be chaos.
Oh, because that was in the last book. Got it. Nailed it. That's...
You got there, buddy.
Callback.
You
baby.
found me out.
You really are some type of magic man.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you real soon.
Bye.
I'm just glad I don't have to deal with fucking Maggie anymore.
Nate, you some kind of prophet? I heard you were talking about the future on your show.
I am, actually.
No, absolutely not.
Well, I think this might be for you, hon.
Oh, who's it from?
Oh, I don't know. Found it slipped under the door this morning.
Well, thank you, Maggie.
Oh, you two are so nice. You're welcome.
Well, what is it?
She literally didn't even look at me. She
Didn't
didn't
say
even
fucking word to
look
you.
at me.
It says Prophet Nathan. Oh, shit.
That's definitely not for you.
Yeah, but
Are you going to open it?
Well, obviously, I'm going to open it. All right, let's see here. Time and place must return to normal. You will travel home post haste. P.S. One Prophet Nathan is plenty. Oh, fuck.
Oh, it is for you.
It looks like some of the letters are randomly capitalized.
Oh, fun riddle.
Look at that. Nice catch.
You guys, it spells out sliff. It's a message. We got to use the sliff to get back home.
Hold on. Can we even do that?
There's a way. The Mord Sith did it all the fucking time. Let's get our shit and fucking go.
All right, let's go. Oh, my God. All right, well, we made it, okay? Now we just have to sneak down to the well. Who knows the way?
I thought you did.
I don't know either, but how hard could it be?
The fuck was that?
I would already like to leave, please.
I'ma bet that rock down.
Jade,
No! No!
Nate, no.
But it's just a little rock.
Dude, come on.
Why do you keep hucking rocks at everything? Remember last time?
Yeah, you're right. I'm doing it.
No, don't!
We too got this, doll. One of us always tells the truth.
And the other always.
No time! Is he dead?
No?
See? No big deal. Let's go in here.
Oh, God, Jade! Jade, what happened?
You're so tiny.
Are we there yet?
Aaron, if you ask me one more time, I swear to fuck, I will turn this adventuring party around. It's supposed to be at a door at the bottom of a tower. This has got to be it. You sure you're ready, Jade?
Let's do it.
Oh, it's the well. We made it. Wait, I don't see the sliff though. How do we call the sliff again?
Oh, I think I have an idea. Jade, do you still have those beers in your purse?
Yeah, man, I always grab some for the road.
All right, raise them up, guys, to going home. Clink 'em and sink 'em.
Would you like to travel? It will bring you pleasure.
Oh, we just wanted to go home, but yeah, could you get us there?
I am long enough. Now, breathe. Holy shit! I think we're back. Was that well here before?
No idea, but right over there's where I grabbed my rock. You guys, we're home.
I seriously can't believe that fucking worked.
I am a prophet.
Still super not.
Aw.